Today, watch this.
I could move on now to northern development and go to a specific industry, and that is the cattle export industry. How do you see the way to have a full recovery in the industry?
Well, the Daniels, probably the biggest cattle owners in Australia, but Sam said he considered that we're losing 230 million a year as a result of the live cattle debacle. And Professor, you know, there's a lot of people to blame here. I mean, they knew that that was taking place for 9 years. The MLA, they get $100 million a year off the cattlemen of Australia, the MLA. And they're so incompetent.
The MLA is?
The Meat and Livestock, trying to think what the
Authority,
Meat and Livestock Authority. And, you know, levy has taken on all, you know, meat production in Australia, on all produce, meat produce in Australia. And it's paid to the MLA, and it's their job to oversight our industry and see that it works well. Well, I mean, they knew about the problem was over there, they did nothing. The LNP government knew about it, did nothing. And the ALP government knew about it and worse still, did something, you know. But Professor, I put to you that as a young man of 18 years of age, I was handed a rifle. We were at war with Indonesia over oil, protecting our oil pipeline. And I think, I'm not sure about this, but I think every single year since 1964, we've been fighting a war somewhere to protect our oil pipeline. Well, you know, if people are prepared to fight wars, and I think probably we should fight wars to protect our oil pipeline. I'm not saying that that's wrong, but, you know, we cut off the protein, the food pipeline to Indonesia. So, I mean, if we're entitled to fight wars over oil pipeline, you know, I mean, they are entitled to be very, very angry indeed when we cut off their food pipeline. And they're our nearest neighbours, we should be good friends with them. But, you know, that is not the act of a good friend. And we do not fish our waters, we do not let them fish our waters. I mean, this is not good. This does not go down well. When 70 or 80 million people in Indonesia go to bed hungry every night, we're sitting on, my electorate alone can support a population of 60 million people. That's not a figure plucked out of the air. Those are the figures based upon the Murray-Darling. Murray-Darling has 22 million megalitres of water. My electorate has 170 million megalitres of water. And we have, most of my electorate is just rolling black soil, flat, treeless plain. I mean, you can plough the whole damn lot of it if you want to. Not that you could, but even if we only did 7% of it, you know, we'd be supporting a population of 10 or 20 million extra people.
Did you welcome the repeal of or proposed repeal of the Wild Rivers legislation?
You know, it's if I was asked this question 3 years ago, I would have been jumping up and down and breaking out champagne bottles. But, you know, we're having very bad experiences with a lot of mining companies now, and you know, I just feel we'll be in a free fire zone. And also, I just thought it could have been done a bit more sensitively. But if you're asking me overall, yes, of course, I've moved it down here passionately on a number of occasions. The land and the seas do not belong to the Crown. The land and the seas belong to the people. And in this case, the first Australian people were being economically strangled with these proposals. And it was not the Crown's waters, it was the people's waters. And they've owned it for 30,000 years, and it was taken off them by an ALP government who got the worst slaughter in Australian history.
If the minerals belong to the Crown, should the consent of the landowner be necessary?
Well, that's the point I'm making with the Wild Rivers, you know, that Tony Abbott moved a resolution which I seconded, saying that the local people have the last say and I can't remember whether we discriminated whether they were first Australian people or, you know, all Australian people, but that was what the legislation said. And I think that was a good position of Tony's, and I most certainly seconded it with alacrity. But I believe, magnificent movie, Robin Hood, you know, Russell Crowe's Robin Hood, but got me thinking, and I went back to Magna Carta because the movie touches on this, but there are 2 clauses in Magna Carta, and 2, not 1, you know, on land and property rights, that the Crown does not own my land. I own my land, not the Crown. And the second one was the right of a person, and it was the Baron's Charter, but this was not. It was written by Langton, the Archbishop, and obviously he was a very decent man, but this was for everyone, and it applied very much to the ordinary man rather than the Baron, that he had access to food on the King's domain, and no, it wasn't on the King's domain. He had access to secure food, full stop, meaning that the King could not put him in jail for poaching. That was what that clause meant. So the Crown does not have the right to take away our right to fishing or camping, hunting, shooting, whatever it might be, because the people own the land, not the Crown. And I really think that it's a dividing line the size of the Grand Canyon, you know, between people that believe that the Crown has all these rights and the people that believe no, that the people have these rights. We can't go fishing or camping or hunting or shooting much in Queensland at all. We live in one of the most restrictive societies on earth.